Music Theory 1, Part 6, with Odessa Balan. Looking deeper into music theory. Earlier in this series, you learned about the different kinds of notes, clefs, and time signatures. You learned about the circle of fourths and the circle of fifths, major keys, and the relative minors. You also learned about accidentals, the natural, sharp, flat, double sharp, and double flat. Now it's time to take a deeper look at scale degrees, intervals, and the creation of chords. Scale degrees. A scale degree is referring to the note number of the scale. All scales have degrees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The 8th scale degree is also the first scale degree, just up an octave, or 8 notes higher. Each scale degree has another name that describes the function of that note in the scale. The most important note in a scale is note number 1. So the function of the other notes refer to how or if they pull the listener back to number 1 or to another note number that then pulls the listener back to note number 1. We label each degree of the scale with a Roman numeral that corresponds with the name of that scale degree and the chord that can be built on top of that note. The first scale degree has Roman numeral 1 and is called the tonic. The second scale degree is Roman numeral 2 and is called the supertonic. The third scale degree is Roman numeral 3 and is called the mediant. The fourth scale degree is Roman numeral 4 and is called the subdominant. The fifth scale degree is Roman numeral 5 and is the dominant. The sixth scale degree is Roman numeral 6 and is called the submediant. The seventh scale degree is Roman numeral 7 and is called the subtonic in minor scales or the leading tone in major scales. Here are the scale degree names of each note of the C major scale: tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, tonic. Pop quiz. Please pause the video to see if you can answer these questions correctly. Don't worry, the answers are on the next slide. How did you do? Did you get all the answers right? The function of scale degrees. The tonic is the first note of the scale and is the most important note, the name of the key. The supertonic is the note right above the tonic, or the second scale degree. Super means above, so it is the note above the tonic. The third scale degree is called the mediant, the note right in the middle of the first and fifth scale degrees: tonic, mediant, dominant. The fourth scale degree is called the subdominant, which could also be 5 notes below the tonic. It pulls the listener back to the tonic. Tonic, dominant, subdominant. The fifth scale degree is called the dominant. It strongly pulls the listener back to the tonic and establishes the key. In other words, it makes the listener hear the key of any scale or piece. Dominant, tonic. The sixth note of the scale is called the submediant, which is in the middle of the tonic and the subdominant in the descending scale. Tonic, submediant, subdominant. The seventh scale degree is called the leading tone in any major scale. It also strongly pulls the listener back to the tonic. Leading tone, tonic. In natural minor scales, however, the seventh scale degree is called the subtonic. It is a whole step below the tonic and does not have that pull that the leading tone has to the tonic. So leading tone, tonic, subtonic, tonic. Pop quiz. Please pause the video to see if you can answer these questions correctly. Don't worry, the answers are on the next slide. How did you do? Did you get all the answers right? Intervals. An interval in music is the distance between two notes. We can count the space between two notes by looking at the notes in a particular scale. Here are some examples of intervals in the keys of C major, G major, D major, and F major. Let's look at C major. From the first note to the second note, we have a second. From the first note to the third note, we have a third. From the first note to the fourth note, we have a fourth. From the first note to the fifth note, we have a fifth. From the first note to the sixth note, we have a sixth. From the first note to the seventh note, we have a seventh. And from the first note to the eighth note, we have an octave. The same thing happens in G major when we measure the interval between the first scale degree and each of the other scale degrees. So from the first to the second, we have a second. From the first to the third, we have a third. From the first to the fourth, we have a fourth. From the first to the fifth, we have a fifth. From the first to the sixth, we have a sixth. From the first to the seventh, we have a seventh. And from the first to the eighth, we have an octave. The same thing happens in D major when we measure the interval between the first note and all the other scale degrees. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, octave. The same thing happens in F major when we measure the distance between the first scale degree and all the other scale degrees. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, octave. Intervals. Certain intervals and scales or keys can be labeled as major or minor, while other intervals cannot. For instance, seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths can be either major or minor. Unisons, that is, two instruments playing the same note, fourths, fifths, and octaves do not have a major or minor quality or sound, so they are labeled as perfect. If we look at the intervals in the C major scale, we will notice that the intervals from the first scale degree to each of the other scale degrees in the scale are either major or perfect. We have a perfect unison, a major second, a major third, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, a major sixth, a major seventh, and a perfect octave. If we look at the intervals in the C minor scale, we will notice that the intervals from the first scale degree to each of the other scale degrees, except for the second scale degree, are either minor or perfect. We have the perfect unison, we have the major second, we have the minor third, we have the perfect fourth, we have the perfect fifth, we have the minor sixth, we have the minor seventh, and we have the perfect octave. Harmonic intervals. Harmonic intervals are when the two notes are played together at the same time, resulting in harmony. Major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, perfect octave. Melodic intervals. Melodic intervals are when the two notes are played one at a time, like a melody. Major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, perfect octave. Interval inversions. When we invert an interval, we turn it upside down. That means the bottom note is put on the top, and the original top note of the interval is now the bottom note. The quality of the interval also changes when it is inverted. A major second becomes a minor seventh. A major third becomes a minor sixth. But a perfect fourth becomes a perfect fifth, and a perfect unison becomes a perfect octave. So a perfect unison becomes a perfect octave. A major second becomes a minor seventh. A major third becomes a minor sixth. A perfect fourth becomes a perfect fifth. A perfect fifth becomes a perfect fourth. A major sixth becomes a minor third. And a major seventh becomes a minor second. Pop quiz. Please pause the video to see if you can answer these questions correctly. Don't worry, the answers are on the next slide. How did you do? Did you get all the answers right? Chords. A chord is three notes played together, with each note at least a third apart from the other, also known as a triad. We can build chords on each note of the scale. Each chord of the scale has a quality, major, minor, or diminished. The bottom note of the chord is called the root. The middle note is called the third, and the top note is called the fifth. Here is the G major chord. G is the root, B is the third, and D is the fifth. When we build chords on each scale degree, the notes in the chords come from the notes of the scale. For example, the tonic chord has the tonic, the median, and the dominant, or the first, third, and fifth scale degrees as the notes in that chord. So the C major chord has C, which is the tonic, E, which is the median, and G, which is the dominant. Chords built on each scale degree. The chord built on the supertonic is made up of the second, fourth, and sixth scale degrees. So we have D, or the supertonic, we have F, or the subdominant, and we have A, or the submedian. The chord built on the median is made up of the third, fifth, and seventh scale degrees. So we have E, or the median, G, or the dominant, and B, or the leading tone. The chord built on the subdominant is made up of the fourth, sixth, and first scale degrees. So we have F, or the subdominant, we have A, or the submedian, and we have C, or the tonic. The chord built on the dominant is made up of the 5th, 7th, and 2nd scale degrees. So we have G, or the dominant, we have B, or the leading tone, and we have D, or the supertonic. The chord built on the submediant is made up of the 6th, 1st, and 3rd scale degrees. So we have A, or the submediant, we have C, or the tonic, and we have E, or the mediant. The chord built on the leading tone is made up of the 7th, 2nd, and 4th scale degrees. So we have B, or the leading tone, we have D, or the supertonic, and we have F, or the subdominant. Here are all the chords in the C major scale: the tonic, C major, the supertonic, D minor, the mediant, E minor, the subdominant, F major, the dominant, G major, the submediant, A minor, and the leading tone, B diminished. When we build chords on each scale degree, we could use the name of that scale degree, that is the tonic, supertonic, mediant, etc., for that chord, or we could simply call the chord by its Roman numeral. Each chord has a quality: major, minor, and diminished. Diminished means that the interval of a fifth is smaller than the perfect fifth. In major scales, the 7th chord of the scale is diminished. Capital Roman numerals equal major, lowercase Roman numerals equal minor, and the small circle next to the lowercase 7 equals diminished. We have the tonic, or the 1 chord, C major, the supertonic, or the 2 chord, D minor, the mediant, or the 3 chord, E minor, the subdominant, or the 4 chord, F major, the dominant, or the 5 chord, G major, the submediant, or the 6 chord, A minor, and the leading tone, or the 7 chord, B diminished, and then we're back to the tonic, or the 1 chord, C major. Pop quiz. Please pause the video to see if you can answer these questions correctly. Don't worry, the answers are on the next slide. How did you do? Did you get all the answers right? Building chords on minor scale degrees. When building chords on minor scale degrees, the order of major and minor chords is different from the order in major scales. Remember that the relative minor of any major scale starts on note number 6 of that major scale. So in C major, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be the relative minor. The 6th note of C major is A, so A minor is the relative minor to C major. The quality, major, minor, or diminished, of Roman numerals for the minor scales will follow the quality of the Roman numerals for the major scale, starting with the 6th note of the major scale. So in C major, we have major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, and then back to major 1. In A natural minor, we have minor 1, diminished 2, major 3, minor 4, minor 5, major 6, major 7, and back to minor 1. Just like in the major scale, when we build chords on each minor scale degree, the notes in the chords come from the notes in the scale. For example, the tonic chord has the tonic, the mediant, and the dominant, or the first, third, and fifth scale degrees as the notes in that chord. So in A natural minor, we will have A, C, E as the A minor chord. The chord built on the supertonic is made up of the second, fourth, and sixth scale degrees. So we have B, D, and F as the diminished 2 chord in A minor. The chord built on the mediant is made up of the third, fifth, and seventh scale degrees. So we have C, E, and G as the major 3 chord in A minor. The chord built on the subdominant is made up of the fourth, sixth, and first scale degrees. So we have D, F, and A as the minor 4 chord in A minor. The chord built on the dominant is made up of the fifth, seventh, and second scale degrees. So we have E, G, and B as the minor 5 chord in A minor. The chord built on the submediant is made up of the sixth, first, and third scale degrees. So we have F, A, and C as the major 6 chord in A minor. The chord built on the subtonic is made up of the seventh, second, and fourth scale degrees. So we have G, B, and D as the major 7 chord in A minor. Here are all the chords in the A minor scale. We have A minor, B diminished, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and back to A minor. When we build chords on each scale degree, we could use the name of that scale degree, tonic, supertonic, mediant, etc. for that chord, or we could simply call it by its Roman numeral. Each chord has a quality, major, minor, and diminished. Capital Roman numerals equal major, lowercase equal minor, and the small circle next to the lowercase 2 equal diminished. So we have minor 1, tonic, diminished 2, supertonic, major 3, mediant, minor 4, subdominant, minor 5, dominant, major 6, submediant, major 7, subtonic, and back to minor 1, tonic. Pop quiz. Please pause the video to see if you can answer these questions correctly. Don't worry, the answers are on the next slide. How did you do? Did you get all the answers right? Please review what you learned. Intervals make up the beautiful melodies we hear in music. Chords make up the harmony in songs or pieces. Understanding the building blocks of music makes it easier to learn and enjoy practicing and performing. Thank you for viewing. Feel free to go back in this video to review what you learned. Stay tuned for more Theory with Odessa.